Hello, everybody. Steve Olson here with the Fourplex Investment Group. I'm glad to be here with you today, and I have my two partners with me, Chase Levitt and Sherida Zanger, and we're here to talk to you about a great opportunity in the Phoenix metropolitan area. I've been very excited about getting into this market for a number of years, and it's finally go time. The project is called the Village on Greenway, located in Mirage, Arizona, actually right there across from the border of Surprise on the northwest side of the Phoenix Valley. Normally, when we do these webinars, we get into a lot of detail about the history of FIG and what we're all about, so you understand that. I'm going to try to keep that to a minimum today. This is more about the project itself, the location, the numbers, and the demographics, so that we can get you out of here, hopefully in about 20 minutes or so. Well, we'll do a quick intro on who FIG is, the project itself. We'll get into numbers, pro formas, and sum it up all for you here. You can see in a four-part agenda. FIG is not a company, it's a marketing platform. It's actually comprised of 5 separate companies, right, that all combine to generate this end result for you, which is a new construction multifamily property in a master plan community. So it works really well for the busy professional that wants that kind of product, but doesn't have time to go hire builders and deal with zoning and all those kinds of fun things. So please verify this information with your professional advisors like CPAs and attorneys. We're here to educate you, give some good ideas, but everybody's situation is unique, so you should consult with those professionals as needed. So here we go. We're going to talk about El Mirage. You see we had our graphics guys do a little bit of a design there, and this is about what we think they'll turn out to look like. These are triplexes. I want to give you a good look at that before we get cooking here. So who is FIG? Well, I'm Steve Olson. I'm the director of sales here. I carry licensing in 3 different states. Chase and Sherida are here as well. They carry licensing specific to Arizona, as well as Utah and Idaho. And we all work together on working with you, the clients and the investors, on these various projects. We're operating in 4 states now, and we're really excited to be doing it. So you're probably listening to this because you've talked to one of us already and know who we are, but sometimes it's good to put a face with the name. Behind the scenes, you're actually going to meet our builder. We've got Mike Miller, the original founder of the FIG concept and the owner of Volkomen Construction. He's been in this a long time. And Jacob Erickson and Brian Schnell oversee the day-to-day construction and operations of Volkomen Construction. And to their credit, they're the ones that had this idea of why don't we build multiple units attached, like townhomes or stack flat style units, but put one tax ID on them so an investor can actually own a duplex, a triplex, or a fourplex that's brand new. Corey Bonner is a big part of what we do, right? He's with Max Property Management, and we'll move them into Arizona as well when this property turns around for lease up. They successfully leased thousands of doors spread out across 3 states, and they're plugged right into our system for the builder turnover and the ongoing tenant qualification, rent collection, and just being that tenant-facing rep for you, the busy investor that doesn't want to run credit checks. You don't want to take calls about, the furnace filter or whatever. That's what Corey is for, and we're glad to have him. Lane Aldrich is our mortgage lending partner. We get questions all the time of, well, do I have to use your lender? And the short answer is kind of yes. I mean, because Lane makes it easy, not because we get something out of it, other than a better experience for you and us. And he's done more fourplex loans than anybody on planet Earth. I can absolutely guarantee you that. Way more familiar with how to get you into a construction loan, how to relay that over to a long-term loan. We love working with Lane. So if you're going to use financing in this project, you'll be talking to him pretty soon here. This is a quick snapshot on what we've been up to over the years, and this is just a sampling of it. But you can see that top left one, Steeplechase, is interesting to mention. I don't even think we have a picture of it because it was our very first project in Pleasant Grove, and it was just 8 properties, but it's still there, still rented. In fact, one of our great investors was talking to me the other day about some questions. He's on the HOA board, and they're just making a few changes. They're managing that investment. They're doing a great job. You can see over in the top right is Brickyard. That was our first project that we ever did in the state of Idaho. We've really loved it there. In the middle left is Easton Park. That was the first time that we ever did a stacked flat model. We went from a townhome style to a stacked flat model. And then you can see from there, it's kind of evolved over the years to a hodgepodge of 2-story townhomes, 3-story. We mix up the garages and even more stacked flats, like over on the middle right, Pine Ridge Farms is an apartment style unit. And that's similar to what we'll have in El Mirage, Arizona. What we're going to do now and like I said, that was a very, very condensed overview on who FIG is and what we're up to. But I want to turn it over to my partner, Chase, who is going to give you a little bit of a look at the Arizona market, zooming into Maricopa County. I may chip in a little bit here too. But Chase, what have you got for us when it comes to Arizona? What do you think?
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Thanks for giving me a moment. Super excited about this project. As you can see, that beautiful photo, that's not the project site, but just showing how beautiful Arizona is. And this new slide here that you're flipping over to, as you click through that, it's just showing some key stats and numbers that we like to go over and look at. Essentially, it's pretty basic, but it's some good information to have. The top in orange there, we're looking at the state of Arizona as a whole, the population, and how many people are within that state. And so we're a little over 7 million people. And then right below that in green, it's stating we're a little over 4 million in people, and that's highlighting Maricopa County. Maricopa County, that's going to include the Phoenix Metro and several cities that are involved, including El Mirage. And so we're just trying to point out how many people are within Maricopa County. And we'll start to do a deep dive on these numbers a little bit further as we go a little bit farther on in the presentation. So there's a good snapshot of photo of Maricopa County. And as we're flipping over to the next slide here, that's just stating what the population growth looks like over the next 10 years. You want to know, okay, how many people are currently there, and then how many people are going to be there over a 10-year period. And it's just telling us there that growth is going to happen, and that's where we want to be, and that's why we've decided to enter that market that we're so excited about. The other thing there's several things that we can talk about, but I want to point out towards the end on the right-hand side, Phoenix is the 5th largest growth in number of millennials. And so a lot of young blood there and millennials that are moving to that area. It could be schooling, it could be job opportunities. There's just a lot of cool things to do within that Phoenix Metro of why people are wanting to live there. And it's not just people that are looking to retire there, which is a whole nother topic as well.
I think, Chase, when you say that they have the 5th highest number in millennial growth, that probably correlates really well to the middle point here about rents rising 5.2% over the last year, because a millennial demographic is heavily renter based. And that's probably caused more competition for existing rentals and putting pressure on those rents.
Most definitely. Yeah, and I would agree with that. That there's just a map highlighting Maricopa County. It shows where Phoenix is right in almost the middle of it. But Maricopa County, it's not just a small county. I guess it depends on who we're talking to here, but it's a very large county within the Arizona state. And as we take a little bit closer look at these maps here, it dives in a little bit deeper on where El Mirage is. So we had Maricopa County, which was the last map, and that's zoomed way out, and it's a wide range. And as we take a little bit closer of a look here at the Phoenix Metro, we can see where downtown Phoenix is, right there at the bottom right-hand side. And then you can see where El Mirage is, and that's where the project is located, and we're going to get into more details on the project here in a little bit. But within El Mirage, that county, or that city, the site's located on the top northwest side, so on the very edge of it. It's almost in Surprise. So we just want to highlight the location of El Mirage, the city, and where the project's going to be located at.
Yeah, it literally is that top left corner, just north of the E in El Mirage. We are as far north and west as you can get in the city. Mm-hmm. And yeah, if you want to go over some of the industry here, Chase, then I can get into the specifics on the maps in the coming slides.
Sure. So we're just breaking down the different employment within that location, Maricopa County. People like to know, or I should say our investors like to know, okay, what's driving people there? What are the jobs? And this just breaks it down for you. It can be a little bit confusing at first, but as you look at it a little bit closer, you can see what percentage of construction they have going on, healthcare and social assistance, educational service, and it'll break it down into different percentages so you can see what the jobs are and what's really driving that market.
Yeah. Let's talk about that a little bit more, because you could see on the jobs that there's no one industry that represents an overwhelming portion of the job base in the Phoenix Valley. As we've done our due diligence trips down into Arizona, one thing that really struck us is how much the market has grown up since the Great Recession of 2008. Many of you remember that Phoenix is kind of the epicenter, at least in the Western US, of the Great Recession, right? So many spec homes that got foreclosed in the Phoenix metro. And, you know, a lot of the professionals, the bankers, attorneys, brokers, construction people that we've dealt with there, they definitely remember, right? They're salty veterans from that. And they're all happy to see that, you know, this job distribution now is highly, highly diversified, right? You can't point to anything that has even close to 20% of the job base. At most, you're looking at 11%, and it's all spread out. So we created this little bit of a map here. El Mirage is kind of a skinny city. It's a very small city. So you might live in the city boundaries. It's very likely you would work, sometimes go to school, definitely shop outside of the El Mirage city boundaries, because you saw how skinny it was, especially taking into account that we're on that top left corner of El Mirage, specifically Greenway, right? Greenway is a big east-west artery in the Phoenix Valley, and then Dysart, so this big north-south street. That's where we're on the corner of. You're going to have plenty of grocery stores, convenience stores, banks, restaurants, hospitals, right? All nearby. So the blue circle right around the FIG logo where we are represents 2 miles. Okay. And then to give you some perspective, if you go 10 miles out, that's the first red circle, right? A couple of landmarks that you would probably be familiar with: the Arizona Cardinals Stadium there in Glendale, they're within 10 miles of the project. Luke Air Force Base is within 10 miles of the project as well. And then if we extend that out even more, out to 20 miles, that's when we start to get into downtown Phoenix. And then you can see the logo for Sky Harbor Airport, big international airport. If you've ever flown into Arizona, it's pretty much assured that that's the airport that you went to. So you're looking, when we pulled the neighborhood scout data, which is a demographic service, most people commute for anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes for their job, so they can get where they need to go. There's obviously, beyond this map, a lot more in the Phoenix Valley, but we're kind of focusing northwest of downtown here. If you go further east, you're getting into Scottsdale, over to Mesa, to Gilbert, and areas like that.
Can you go back to that slide real quick?
Sure.
There's one thing that I want to point out there, and it's going to be in a couple slides, but I think it's better to look at this map here since it's in front of us, just so people know if they care to know. You talked about downtown Phoenix. That's about 30 minutes away. Then you have University of Phoenix Stadium, which is about 15 minutes away, just to give people drive times. And then you have ASU campus there's a west campus that's only about 18 minutes away. The main campus is probably more like 25 to 30 minutes away, but a decent commute, not bad at all though. Just a couple of things I wanted to point out, because we're going to get into a slide here in a little bit that's going to point those things out, but I like this map better.
That's good. Yeah, there's a host of other universities, smaller ones, less well known, but they're in the area. But most people do know what ASU is. And on that map too, you can see a couple of the major thoroughfares. Route 101 goes in a circle around Phoenix, not a perfect circle, but that's only a few minutes away, as well as 303. That's kind of more the outer loop now, that is helping service a lot of these outer suburbs that are really growing. And we're right off the 60. The 60 is a state highway. That right now is the best way to get to Las Vegas. They are going to do a freeway eventually, from what I understand, but we're close to the 60 there. That's the route that you would take in. This is a map that really zooms in, probably more within that 2 mile circle. Right there on Fig's project, corner of Dysart and Greenway, we're back behind Walgreens, and you got to have your Little Caesars pizza. If you're my kids anyway, we crank through those. That's right there. And then we're literally sandwiched between those two stores and Surprise Elementary School, which ironically enough is in El Mirage, but it's Surprise Elementary School. So you've got all the retail, shopping, convenience that you would ever need, schools. You can see a couple of Walmarts within 2 miles of either direction, and Safeway and Fry's and movie theaters and hardware stores and Target. That's another one my family is always at. Target and Little Caesars take all of our money. But those are popular amenities for for tenants to have access to right there within the area. So Chase, why don't I turn it back over to you? Talk about kind of more nationally and some of the highlights and major landmarks if we were to take a road trip from Greenway.
Sure. Yeah, and so I went through the first 3 or 4 of these. This is what I want to point out on that last map. But as far as the second half of this slide here, it just talks about how far away is Grand Canyon, Las Vegas, San Diego, LA. If someone's wanting to get out of the heat during the summer there in that El Mirage area, Phoenix, they can take a trip and be relatively close to a lot of landmarks. You can go to the beach, be there in San Diego, LA. You can be to Vegas in about 4.5 hours. So it's a great location, especially in that northwest side of that metro where all that growth is currently happening.
I think it's about time for Sherida. She's had it easy so far, but Sherida, why don't you start to walk us through some of the numbers?
Okay, perfect. So here's just a quick overview breakdown of some of the numbers on Greenway. So there's going to be a total of 194 total units in this project. That is some 3-story triplexes that are stacked, so apartment style. And then we're also having 7 duplexes that have 5 single-car garages below those as well. All of these will either be a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom configuration or a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom configuration. So HOA, 160 per door a month, kind of goes over what's included in that. These come standard, and this is something that we've been doing on the apartment style units with the LVT flooring, the stainless steel appliances, and blinds. So every unit comes standard with that. You can upgrade to cans and fans and granite countertops if you'd like to do that. Next slide, really quick, snapshot of the plat map. Off to the left-hand side, that's where the Little Caesars is going to be sitting, so that if you want to reference back to the other maps we went over, but here's an overview of our project. On this next slide, a quick snapshot of the floor plan. This can be a little confusing. Just know you're going to own 3 high. So you're going to own a main level, a 2nd story, and a 3rd story unit. But some of these buildings have 4 units connected. So just so you're seeing 1 level, not you don't own all 4 of those, you own high. Here's some snaps of the exterior, kind of what we're hoping that these are going to look like. They have balconies, which is awesome. Okay, so let's dive into the numbers a little bit more. Right here, we'll show your gross rents, your vacancy loss. We're running that at 4% on this pro forma. We have a pet fee in there. The majority of our tenants have pets, so we like to include that fee on there. So you have your operating income annually of $45,000. Then over on the other side, we're going to run down through, your mortgage payments. So to show your cash flow of $7,665. And then below that, we have all of our expenses. This is one thing that I really like that we do is we kind of dive into these and put some accurate numbers or close to accurate numbers. Usually they're a little bit on the high side, but cleaning and maintenance, completely optional. But we recommend you hold that aside. Same with insurance. Get with one of us if you have questions on this insurance line item, because it's also covered in the HOA fees. This additional insurance line item is more for an HO6 policy. But we have management fees for max property management, and then your property taxes. Some people get confused because they see taxes. That is for your property taxes. So kind of run through all of those expenses for you.
Does that assume, if you recall, Sherida, on that cash flow and mortgage payments, is that a 4.5% interest rate on a 30-year fix? Do you remember?
Yep, 4.5%, 25% down, correct.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about what will happen over the coming years based on this slide.
So here we're selling this at $504,900. Your cap rate is going to be a 6.2. Obviously, you see the cash flow. If you hold this for 10 years, your cap rate is going to be a 7.6. You're going to see the appreciation in your cash flow and even your market value. If you look at that 6.10, once these are completed, we should have a market value about 6.10, but in year 10, 7.50 is a good point that we'll be at there.
If you want to get with us on how that all boils down from an IRR perspective, right? That equity growth, the cash flow, the depreciation, how it all boils together, just contact whoever referred you to this. We'll talk with you about how that boils down, because this is a very simple breakdown of it, but we wanted to give you some perspective as to what can happen over time.
We also detail it a little more if you have any of our pro formas on page 4 of the pro forma. It dives deeper into that year 1, year 3, year 5, 10, up to 30. We wanted to throw this in as well because usually people will ask us, hey, where are you getting your rents from, right? So we went out and this is our competition. This is who else is around us, and wanted to kind of list some of the information about them so see how they stacked up to us.
Excellent. Well, that's a quick explanation of the project Village on Greenway. This slide, yeah, I think it's a little bit busy, but you can see if you look at it here what the timing is of the project. Most importantly, you'll notice that the horizontal development is underway now, right? Those, you see those months and the years. So horizontal development meaning we're clearing the site, getting it ready for the infrastructure, and then we've got construction beginning later in the or early this fall. So it just kind of moves along through there. Typically, it's going to take you about 12 months from the time you close on your construction loan to when the triplex is built. So that's a good time to plan on, but make sure you get with us on the timing, the reservation process. This is fairly simple, but you're going to tell us which one you want, right? And we're going to give you some details. Right now, we would take a refundable deposit from you of $5,000, and you would sign a lot reservation form. And once we get a few other things accomplished with the state of Arizona, we can legally do a purchase agreement, and that's when you'd come in with a 10% deposit. But along the way, you see some of these things that would be required. You'll also talk to Lane. We'll also do the contract review, talk about any additional upgrades that you want to do as well. Just trying to make it clear here that we're going to be with you, guide you through every step of the way. That's our job. So we like it because you cannot find something like this in the Phoenix Valley. It doesn't exist. If you look for triplexes or fourplexes on the open market, they're going to be really old, run down, have a ton of deferred maintenance, and the price is going to be kind of shockingly high. All right. Speaking to that, the low maintenance that comes, you do get a 1-year builder warranty. So your tenants are going to move in here and they're going to work out the bugs in that unit, but it's going to be on the builder's dime with that 1-year warranty. You're getting a cap rate north of 6 on a brand new asset. Not achievable in the Phoenix market. Very few markets is that achievable. And if you were to wait and to buy a brand new unit that was leased up, you're probably going to be a cap rate more like 5 from what we've seen. You're close to everywhere that you need to be. We've targeted deliberately more of kind of a B-class, blue-collar tenant. There's a ton of A-class inventory in the market there. We want those people that say, hey, I don't want to live in a C-class building. I can afford to pay a little more, but I can't pay A-class pricing. That's who we're after. And because we have all those local amenities and shopping and all the conveniences that tenants want, we're feeling really good about getting it. And like Chase said, we're close to universities, and it's only 30 minutes to downtown Phoenix. But you got to remember, there's a ton of jobs on the west side, logistical jobs and other things like that. So if you live in El Mirage, you might commute to downtown Phoenix, but there's a very, very good chance that you don't. And you're looking at about the same shot to Sky Harbor if you're a traveling person. So if you have questions, go ahead and reach out to us. You know how to find us at www.fig.us. And here's all of our individual contact information across the bottom with our cell numbers. We even answer those things sometimes, so you can text us or call us there, and you've got our email addresses as well.